What better way to learn about Catalina Pottery and Tiles than to take you to where it all began, Catalina Island. My name is Diane Thaxton, and we're here in beautiful Avalon and Santa Catalina Island, 26 miles off the coast of Long Beach. I'm going to show you some fascinating places and introduce you to some very special people. But first, I'm going to tell you how it all started. William Wrigley Jr. bought Santa Catalina Island from the Banning Company in 1919, sight unseen. The romantic idea of owning an island appealed to Mr. Wrigley, and on their first visit to the island, Mr. Wrigley and his wife Ada rose early one morning to watch the sunrise over the ocean. They were absorbed in the majesty of the sun reflecting off the ocean and fell in love instantly with the island. William Wrigley Jr. knew he had made the right decision. In the early 1920s, red clay was found on the island. Soon after, a new plant was built just east of here at Pebbly Beach. The first tiles were produced as early as 1923. This new plant gave island residents much-needed jobs and much-needed building materials. You can see that there are many homes that are still made from these beautiful island tiles. These tiles and bricks were not solely used on the island. They were shipped all over California as they were a popular addition to the mission movement. With the abundance of clay came a natural progression into the production of dinnerware and art pottery. From 1927 through 1932, the red clay of the island was used to manufacture these wares. However, this clay soon proved to be brittle and chipped too easily. So in 1932, white clay was imported to the island. It soon became too costly to ship clay to the island and to ship the completed merchandise off the island. So in 1937, the entire operation, including designs and molds, were sold to the Gladding McBean Company. Gladding McBean continued to make pottery using the Catalina molds and even produced some of its own designs under the Catalina line until 1941, when the entire Catalina pottery line was phased out completely. Well, enough of the history lesson. Let's go see the real thing. The first stop on our journey is to the Zane Grey Hotel, once home to the famous Western novelist Zane Grey. His home was turned into a fine hotel and is now owned and operated by Karen Baker. Karen is a collector of Catalina pottery and tiles and has invited us up to see her wonderful collection. The second story of the hotel is Karen's own residence, and that's where we're heading now.
Hi, guys.
Hi, this is my good friend Karen Baker. Thank you for inviting us up.
Oh, you're welcome. Come on in.
This is a portion of Karen's beautiful pottery collection. How long have you been collecting Catalina pottery?
Oh, I'd say about 25 years.
Where do you get most of your pieces?
Well, most of them have been given to me by family and friends.
Can you buy any of it on the island?
Yes, there's about 4 stores on the island that have it, and I would say the largest selection is found at Two's Company on Crescent Avenue.
Show us some of your favorite pieces, would you?
Be glad to.
Well, this is a beautiful plate. Was this made here on the island?
Yes, it was. In fact, probably the painted plates that I have are my most favorite pieces. This one is a toreador and in a bullfight scene. And it's one of the, I know it's very old because it's still on the red clay, the old red clay. And then this other piece is new. My sister just found this and gave this to me for Christmas. She goes to all sorts of swap meets and antique stores. And they're very famous for their patio seams on painting on the plates.
But when you say new, you just newly acquired. It's not a new plate.
Yes, yes, yeah. It is definitely an antique. But I think probably my most unusual piece and prized possession of the plates is this piece that 2 of my very good friends did for me for Christmas. It is on an original old Catalina pottery orange plate, and they had one of our local artists, Daniel Peterson, paint the hotel on it for me.
That's beautiful. That is really fabulous.
And his work is going quite well, but it's definitely a one-of-a-kind, but for this century.
That's gorgeous.
Some of my other unusual things, I believe, one would be this darling little teapot. It's just such a cute little style and size and not real typical of the pottery they made. It's got a little lid and everything, but I just thought it was really cute.
It's a really cute shape. Now that's really darling.
Then, of course, there was always Signor, the pipe holder. And I think they had a name for him that I can't recall. But they had, this was one of their typical smoking pieces. They did a lot of ashtrays and so forth, and this is for your pipes.
Wow, this was all hand-painted in addition. So did local artists do any of this painting, or did they bring in people? How
Both. There were artists that worked at the factory, and different painters had their own specialties.
It's really beautiful. Now, on this piece, the pipe goes here? Is that...
Yes, pipe would go here, the matches here, and I guess you'd put the little ashes there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Not smoking a pipe, I'm not sure. Then I did find, which I just think are so cute, but the history is a little cloudy, these two little minor birds. We used to have a bird park on the island, and they have little stickers made in Catalina. But I do think that possibly it was made by some people that were trying to resurrect the pottery named Mills, and they were in the center of town, their little kiln and workshop.
And when was that?
Oh, probably in the very, very early 50s, late 40s.
Well, minor birds were a favorite motif of the artisans on the island, and they did a lot of tiles and pictures, painted plates, so very well could be an original. We'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure which it is, but I didn't care. They're just so darling. Now, because I do love birds, and even though this is a Gladys McBean piece, this is one of my most treasured.
Okay, now Gladys McBean, this was not made on the island?
No, it wasn't. It was made over town, which we islanders call Long Beach and such, and they used the same molds. They bought the molds from the Wrigleys and used them and kept trying to create the beautiful masterpieces.
But this is still marked Catalina Pottery.
Correct.
They still kept the name. Oh, that is beautiful. That is a beautiful piece.
The little dove.
Now, I know that this has a history behind it. What's the story on this?
Well, the real history comes from the platter here, this giant yellow platter. This piece started it all. My stepmom and I were in a little thrift shop on the island here about 25 years ago, and we saw this hanging on the wall just for sale, and I said, oh, it reminded me so much of growing up and eating off of all of the Catalina pottery. That was our kitchenware, and this was the first time I had really noticed it and seen it, and so I couldn't afford it, even though it was at that time very inexpensive, but she bought it for me, and this is kind of where it all just started then. Every time we saw a piece, we bought it.
What, do you know what the value of this is now?
I have no idea.
It's beautiful too. Well, there's one other thing I'd like you to show us. One of my favorite pieces she has in her house is Karen's fireplace. It's made out of Catalina tile, so she's going to show that to us. This fireplace is made entirely of Catalina brick and tile. Karen, tell us something about it.
Well, Diane, back in 1980, when I remodeled my living quarters at the hotel, we had the whole area all torn up, and behind one of the buildings we found under some dirt about 300 pieces of Catalina tile. Now, of course, I just fell in love with it and then tried to decide what I could possibly do with it. I mean, it was just your paper pieces, the pieces that actually Wrigley brought the workers from Mexico to make for the town, for the streets and the walls and the roofs of all his buildings, and a few decorative pieces. But so I was thinking and talking with the architect, and within the home here I had little balustrades, little areas, and I said, well, what about setting in the tile pieces? And so he went along with me, and we have them all throughout the house set in to these different little room divider areas. Then I decided to do the fireplace. Without really realizing how massive it would be, I chose just to do a simple outline of a fireplace with a few of the decorative pieces. But on the paver stones and the larger pieces, every now and then I would have one where it would mean something to maybe somebody that didn't realize why I picked this tile. They would look down and they would see the stamp of Catalina Island on it. So then it would kind of tie in. And after we started talking to different people, especially my father who had owned the hotel, back in the 50s, and trying to find out where the tile came from, we have to assume that Zane Grey must have bought the tile and had some plan in mind, because no one else had purchased it. And then he had changed his mind, and to our good fortune, I guess that says that you better go and clean up your backyard, because you never know what you can find.
Well, you know, it really is fabulous, and it's my favorite piece of everything you have here. And Karen, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful collection with us. I hope you'll invite us back.
Oh, I've had a very good time.
We are on the deck of the Zane Grey Hotel. From here you can see all of Avalon Bay, and on a clear night you can see the lights on the mainland. It is one of the most magnificent views on the island. Just up the road a bit is the Chimes Tower, donated to Avalon by Mrs. Wrigley in 1926. The tower contains Westminster chimes that ring out the time every 15 minutes and can be heard all over town. But of interest to us are the beautiful roof tiles glistening in the sun and the tiles decorating the housing of the tower, all made right here on the island. Below us is the famous Catalina Island Casino, built in 1929. The first thing you notice about the casino is the fabulous red tile roof, of which 105,000 Catalina red brick tiles were used. The top floor of the casino houses the world's largest circular ballroom. The bottom floor contains a 1,200-seat movie theater, and below that, little known to most people, is a bomb shelter. But I think I'll take my chances behind a rock. The first floor is also home to the Catalina Island Museum, and that's where we're off to now. We're at the Catalina Island Museum, located on the first floor of the casino. I'd like to introduce you to Patricia Moore, Director and Curator of the museum. Thank you for inviting us in, Mrs. Moore.
Well, I really want to welcome you to the museum. I think you'll enjoy your time here.
Thank you. How many pieces of pottery do you have in your collection?
We have about 360 pieces of pottery and over 100 pieces of tile right now.
That's wonderful. Do you have it all out?
No, we just have a little bit of it on the exhibit because of our space limitations. We rotate the pieces in the cases.
Well, that's really interesting. So every time we come, we might be able to see something different.
I hope so, yes.
Well, can you give us a little background on where the first clay was found and why they built the factory?
Well, that's an interesting story. It all started when Mr. Wrigley and Mr. Renton were driving up around the golf course, and they got stuck in the mud one day. D.M. Renton felt the mud and said, "This looks like clay. We might be able to use this." And Wrigley said, "Check it out." So Mr. Renton did, and lo and behold, that was the beginning of the tile and pottery production on the island. The earliest production, I think, was about 1923 for bricks and tile, the kind of tile you use in production. But after that, they got into decorative tile quite soon, and then, of course, they went on into the pottery. The people on the island were the workers. A few of the master artisans came from the mainland, but one of the local people who was really influential in doing the bird tile designs was a local artist named Bud Upton.
Several of the buildings around town are decorated with original tiles. Let's take a quick look and see what we can find. This was once the old Security Bank building, now home to retail shops. Entryway into the Atwater Hotel, named after Philip Wrigley's wife, Helen Atwater. Another beautiful storefront with original tiles. Some storefronts in Avalon today have reproduction tiles on them, so be careful that you don't mistake them for originals. The birds were a favorite motif. The tiles on the outside of this fountain have been replaced with reproduction tiles, but the inside are all original. All through town are many planter boxes bordered with decorative tiles. This building at the end of the old steamer pier is home to these fabulous bird and swordfish tiles. Fish were another favorite motif on tile murals. Relocated to Avalon Plaza from the old bird park is this gorgeous fountain. Even the Avalon School has Catalina tiles. This is the entrance into the high school building. Across from the school is the first clay pit. Notice the hillside erosion. Alan and Lori Carter have so graciously invited us into their home. They're going to give us a tour of their magnificent collection. So why don't we start here and show us what you have over in this room here. Now, you call this your pottery room?
We call this our pottery room. This is a Catalina Island tabletop, and it's a 9-tile California poppy scene, and it's very difficult to find. We feel most fortunate that we were able to find this. And Alan has some things he would like to show to you.
This is our cabinet of rare pieces, and these are hand-decorated peon salt and pepper shakers. They did a lot of this hand painting, really kind of cute on both sides. And the black that you see in the cabinet is quite rare. This is a Descanso green cactus flask. Kind of rare. And we have decorated Lena, kind of a whimsical piece. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's a wine server with a penguin lid, and I've seen somebody else here on the island has one with an owl lid, but they are really unique.
Can you tell us a little bit about the glazes, the different color glazes?
The blue is called Catalina Blue, and this is Toyon Red, Descanso Green. They call this Obsidian Black, and Pearly White was the name for their white glaze.
What about the values? Can you tell us a price range of some of your pieces? Oh, just a ballpark figure.
What would you say on the hand decorated salt and pepper shakers?
Hand-decorated salt and pepper shakers go for about $150 for the pair, if the decorations are intact. About between $75 and $100 without the decorations. The black pieces are really some of the rarest, and so those are always a little pricier than other pieces of the same type.
So the black bowl you have there, what would you price that at?
That would probably be about $250. The cigarette or the humidor, cigar humidor, which is in the back right-hand corner there, would probably be $600. Now the Descanso green pot with the relief on the front is a very rare piece, and those go for between 6 and 8. The cactus flask that Alan showed you a little earlier, they're around the $500 range. Now, this is a beer stein in relief, and it has the original sticker on the bottom. And we have never seen another one of those. I would say it's probably in the $500 to $600 range. Now the treasure chest, which is most unusual and difficult to find, I've seen for up to $1,200. So that would be absolutely tops. And the double seal candlestick holder is very rare. There was a set of those on the island, a pair, for sale for $2,000. And that's also, I would say, would be at the upper end of pricing.
This is on white clay, and it makes a difference in the look between red clay and white clay.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about the difference in the red clay and the white clay. Now the red clay would be more valuable since the red clay came from the island?
Yeah, that's what they started with, and that's what most collectors think is the prettiest with the glazes on it. But they decided it wasn't durable enough, it chipped too easily, so they started importing white clay from the mainland.
But as far as pricing goes, the prices stay about the same for red or white.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Now there's an unusual painted beer stein in the Catalina blue, and Alan will tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, I like the beer steins. This is Joey Brown, 1930s movie star. And they made a movie here on the island called You Said a Mouthful, and he was a star in it, so they did a number of these.
They also had a lot of those beer steins decorated with the different Cubs baseball players, and those are very valuable. You can find them.
All right. Let's move on to one of your other cases and show them some of your yellow. You have some yellow over here in the turquoise. Those are some other different glazes. What are those called?
What was the yellow? Mandarin or Manchu yellow is what they called that. And it was supposed to be a very rare glaze that hadn't been reproduced for a good long time. And Catalina supposedly discovered the secret of it. This is an Indian style bowl.
And the turquoise glaze is just called turquoise. No special name. There's some interesting pieces in there. There is a seal ashtray, and there is a holder with individual ashtrays. And this has birds in relief all around each side, and they're quite difficult to find. Up on the upper shelf where the Descanso green is, you can see a variety of the different ashtrays.
Here's the difference between the white clay and the red clay.
Now, if we pan up to the across the arched window, you'll see our collection of hat ashtrays, and there's both red and white clay ashtrays there. This is our Gladding McBean collection, and it's marked Catalina Pottery, and the pieces that Gladding McBean produced with the Catalina Pottery name states on the bottom, is marked on the bottom, Catalina Pottery. The pieces made on the island say either Catalina or Catalina Island. The only time you'll find a piece of Catalina Island with the word pottery is when it has the original sticker, and the original foil stickers oftentimes say Catalina Pottery, made on the island. Now, on this shelf, we have our collection of fish ashtrays, and the first two are fish ashtrays, or fish vases, and the larger one would be in about the $200 to $300 range. The smaller little fat fish would be between $125, $200. The small white vase is Pacific, and there's a turquoise shell platter, and then a nice fish vase that's the turquoise and white, and its range is in the $200 to $300 price. And then we see a little turquoise fish, and that is a Pacific fish. And behind that is a rather rare Catalina Pottery fish vase, and it's turquoise inside. And these go, I would say, from probably $100 to $300. And next to that is a very rare mermaid, and it's very difficult to find the mermaids, and they're a lot of fun. And as we go down to the next shelf, we'll see some of our nautical collection, our shell collection. And Gladding McBean made many shells, all different types. Also, we have two Samoan ladies, and there's a white Samoan lady bust, and they're quite rare, and they came in the white and the terracotta and turquoise, and they're in the $500 range. The shells are all go anywhere from $85 to $295. There's a couple of small ones there that are difficult to find. There's a reclining Samoan lady, and those come in white and the terracotta turquoise and the coral and terracotta. And they're quite difficult to find and treasures to have. And down on the bottom shelf, we have more shells, and we have a liquor decanter that Gladding McBean made a large set of liquor decanters, and they are just now becoming popular to collect. We have an Indian. There were many different types, and we still have to learn a lot about these. But according to Diane Thaxton, who is writing a book on these decanters, will be in her new book. We'll be able to learn a lot more about them. We have a Samoan lady terracotta and turquoise bust with a yellow hat, and that is a vase. All these busts were vases, actually, and they're up in the $500 to $700 range. And there's dolphin vase. That isn't considered one of the fish that doesn't fall into the fish vase category for some reason. And then we have Celadon mermaid. On the top shelf, we have a Samoan lady, and she's in the terracotta and turquoise. This also came in terracotta and maroon and white. That's the color range that we've seen. The price range would be somewhere between $300 and $500, and we call this Arnold because of the thick neck, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Down on the next shelf, we have one of the terracotta and turquoise doves. These came in white also, and also in the oxblood. And the oxblood, of course, is the most valuable. These are in about the $300 range. On the next shelf, we have the common scarf lady, as some people refer to her, or the peasant lady. And these came with painted scarves and all the various glazes that Gladding McBean did. This one is terracotta and turquoise. And they're in, for the painted scarves or the terracotta and turquoise, are about $250 in the $100 to $150 range for the plain glazes. On the next shelf is the fan lady, and the fan lady also came in white, and they're in about the $200 to $300 range. On the bottom shelf we have some more Samoan ladies, and the tall ones are called Samoan lady with baby, and the baby is held up on the shoulder there. And these are in the coral, which is much rarer than the terracotta and turquoise. And these are in the, any one of these would be in the $200 to $300 range. Now on the bottom shelf here, we have what the collectors are calling a Carmen Miranda vase. And these names, this Carmen Miranda was not the name that Gladding McBean gave it. This is just a collector's name. They came with either coral earrings or blue earrings. You don't find these very often. They're about $500, and they are marked Catalina. This is our living room. And all of the plates on the walls are original Catalina Island painted plates. Most of them are artist signed. And all of the lamps are original. There's various pieces throughout the living room. This is our deck, and we're about 4 stories up, and we have several paving tiles all around the edges. This is a chimney pot. We have some tiles from the country club, and then we have an original bird tile in the original frame. This is an original checker table with the original wrought iron base.
This is a Gladding McBean fountainhead from Lincoln, California, and it's from the 1930s. And there's also a bowl and a stand base that goes with it, but we just have the fountainhead. Now on our way to the kitchen, this is one of our Moorish plates. And that's a glazed decorated undersea garden plate. And this is a collection of shrimp cocktail compotes. And this is one of my real prizes, the original 1930s Catalina seaplane tile set. I just acquired that. And we have a Gladdy McBean tile set with the Viking ship. I want the and our collection of dinnerware. A little Franciscan, a little Pacific, a little Padre, and a little Catalina. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. The wrought iron hostess rack holding the pitcher and tumblers was one of the first pieces we found, and they're very rare. The wrought iron was made here on the island, and we've really seen one other here on the island, and ours holds 6 tumblers, and the other one on the island holds 8, and we think it's quite a unique piece, and we enjoy it very much.
We've had quite an adventure in Avalon, but it's time we head back to the mainland. Santa Catalina Island has been called the Isle of Enchantment, the Island of Romance, and the Magic Isle. If you've never been to Catalina, or even if you have, it's time to discover the magic that is Catalina Island.
Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good kitty.